under the radar. People throw around the term hidden gem a lot, especially in gaming. But let's be real, if a game sold millions of copies, it's not exactly hidden. So today we're doing things differently. These are indie games that truly flew under the radar. Maybe you've heard of some, but if you've played all 5, respect. Game number 1, Kill the Crows. First up, Kill the Crows, a Western-themed twin-stick shooter where you play as Isabella, a lone gunslinger with an unhealthy number of birds hovering around her at all times. Your job? Simple. Kill the crows. Sounds easy, right? Wrong. Everyone, including you, dies in one hit. This makes for a brutal, edge-of-your-seat experience, where a single mistake means it's over. Your best weapon? The Showdown ability, a quick-draw mechanic that lets you mark multiple enemies before unloading a flurry of bullets faster than a cowboy at high noon. And since it recharges after a few kills, using it wisely is the difference between surviving another wave and getting sent straight to the dirt. Beyond the satisfying combat loop, Kill the Crows nails its presentation. The pixel art is gorgeous, with enemy death animations that have them flopping and sliding across the floor like they just got hit by a freight train. The sound design is also on point. Gunshots crackle with satisfying weight, bullet casings plink against the ground, and the lone background track? Moody, atmospheric, and perfect for the setting. It's a simple game, but one that proves you don't need a massive open world or endless side quests to make something great. Sometimes all you need is a gun, a good aim, and a whole lot of crows to kill. Game number 2, Disco Elysium. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, Disco Elysium? That game won multiple awards. How is it a hidden gem? Well, my friend, despite all that critical acclaim, a surprising number of people still haven't played it. And if you're one of them, let's fix that right now. Disco Elysium is a dialogue-heavy RPG where you play as a washed-up detective suffering from the worst hangover of his life, both physically and existentially. The game is less about combat and more about conversation, where your character's thoughts and skills argue with each other in your head like a dysfunctional court trial. It's absurd, hilarious, and often painfully real. The writing is top tier, blending dark humor, deep philosophy, and emotional gut punches, in a way that no other game really does. Every choice you make shapes your detective's personality, whether he's a brilliant investigator, a complete disaster, or some weird hybrid of both. And let's be honest, most of the time it's the latter. The game's setting, Revachol, feels like a living, breathing city, full of fascinating characters with their own stories to tell. Even the smallest interactions can spiral into unexpected narrative threads, making every playthrough unique. If you haven't played Disco Elysium yet, trust me, you're missing out on one of the best written games of all time. Game number 3, Crumble. Next up, Crumble, a game that asks the age-old philosophical question, what that tongue do? Spoiler, it's a grappling hook. In this physics-based 3D platformer, you control a blue blob with an absurd sense of speed and momentum. Your goal is simple. Get to the end of the level as fast as possible. But the way you do it? That's where the fun begins. Levels are full of crumbling platforms, bouncy mushrooms, and all sorts of chaotic environmental hazards. One moment you're soaring through the air like Spider-Man on a sugar rush, and the next you're desperately clinging onto a ledge with nothing but your incredibly sticky tongue, saving you from oblivion. The game's aesthetic is bright, colorful, and playful. The music? A delightful mix of ragtime tunes that somehow fits perfectly. And the movement? Oh man, it's satisfying. Few platformers capture this level of fluidity, making every successful run feel incredibly rewarding. If you love games that make movement an art form, Crumble is an absolute must-play. Game number 4, Oxenfree. Alright, let's switch gears to something a little more atmospheric. Oxenfree is a supernatural thriller with a unique dialogue system that feels organic, natural, and incredibly immersive. You play as Alex, a teenager who, along with her friends, finds herself trapped on a mysterious island where time loops, ghostly signals, and eerie phenomena are the norm. The story unfolds through beautifully written conversations, and the choices you make subtly shape how everything plays out. The real magic of Oxenfree lies in its atmosphere. The combination of haunting synth music, painterly visuals, and genuinely unsettling moments makes it one of the best indie horror experiences out there without relying on cheap jump scares. And if you end up loving it, the sequel, Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals, is out too, expanding the lore even further. Game number 5, Felvidek. Lastly, we have Felvidek, a turn-based RPG set in 15th century Slovakia. Yes, you heard that right. An RPG set in medieval Slovakia, and it's just as fascinating as it sounds. You play as Pavel, a grizzled knight investigating a cult that threatens his homeland. The story is gripping, packed with unexpected twists and surprisingly hilarious. The humor is drier than the Sahara, but it works. Think Disco Elysium levels of dark wit. Combat is stripped down but visceral. There are no skill trees or experience points, just tactical, turn-based fights that feel brutal and rewarding. And the way you revive fallen party members? By literally pouring one out for the homies. Absolute perfection. Visually, the game is stunning, with hand-drawn backgrounds that resemble a medieval picture book. The soundtrack? A haunting blend of folk melodies that perfectly captures the game's unique setting. If you're a fan of RPGs but want something that feels completely fresh, Felvidek is a must-play. Outro, and that's our list. 5 indie games that are actually hidden gems. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.